You are listening to Your Next Best Step. I'm Coach Janet J. Today, we are slowing down a little. If you're in a season where you know God has been faithful and you still have no idea what comes next, stay right here. This one is for you. Your brain would rather hear bad news than be left to wonder. That is actually what neuroscience has found, and it might explain why a season of waiting, even when you are doing your best to trust God, can feel so unsettling in your body. For a moment, imagine you are one of the disciples. You watched Jesus die. You buried him. 3 days later, he was standing in front of you, alive. You could barely take it in. And before you had time to fully process what that meant, you had 40 days with them. He sat down and ate with you. He taught you things. He answered questions you had been too afraid to ask before. For 40 days, you had his presence and his voice. And then, over a meal, he gave you an instruction. Acts 1, 4 through 5. On one occasion, while he was eating with them, he gave them this command. Do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift my Father promised, which you have heard me speak about. For John baptized with water, but in a few days you will be baptized with the Holy Spirit. Wait, that was the instruction. Not go, not build, not plan. Wait. Now sit with that for a second as one of those disciples. You had a name for what was coming, the Holy Spirit. You had the promise. What you did not have was a full picture. Jesus did not describe what it would look like, what it would feel like, how long the wait would last, or what you were supposed to do with yourself in the meantime. You had a word from God and no way to imagine what that word meant. For roughly 9 days, about 120 people gathered in an upper room between the Ascension and Pentecost. They had proof that God was real. They had a promise they could not yet picture. I wonder if the shape of that story feels familiar. The in-between. The gap between what was and what has not arrived yet. Maybe you have walked through something difficult and looking back, you can see God was in it. Or maybe you are still working on believing that. Either way, you are standing in a space where the last chapter closed and the new one hasn't taken shape yet. Maybe it's a career shift that you sense is coming and new doors have opened. Maybe you are finished raising your children and you are staring at a calendar that used to be full. Maybe you ended a chapter, a relationship, a role, a season of caregiving, and you are waiting for something to take shape. You are in a gap. And what catches most women off guard is that this space can actually feel lonelier than the hard season did. Because at least during the hard season, you had direction, even if that direction was just survival. You knew what you were doing. Now you are just here. And the question becomes, what do you do with yourself while you wait? Here is where science confirms what you already feel in your body. Neuroimaging research, including work by Gilmacher at NYU and Saranopoulos and colleagues in a study published in Cerebral Cortex, has found that ambiguity, the not knowing, activates the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, more strongly than a known negative outcome. Think about that for a second. If you told your brain something hard is coming on Thursday, it would actually calm down compared to something is coming and I have no idea what it is or when. The unknown is more activating than the known, even when the known is bad. And intolerance of uncertainty, researchers call it IU, has been identified as a transdiagnostic risk factor. That is a clinical way of saying it shows up underneath anxiety, depression, and worry across the board. A meta-analysis covering over 52,000 participants found a moderate to strong association between difficulty tolerating uncertainty and a wide range of emotional difficulties. So when you feel restless or anxious during a waiting season, your nervous system is responding exactly the way it was built to respond. It is scanning for a threat that does not exist because the absence of information registers as danger. And research on approach avoidance behavior has found that ambiguity can actually create a freeze response where both your drive to move forward and your instinct to protect yourself activate at the same time. And the result is that you feel stuck. If your spiritual life feels flat or distant during this same season, that may be connected. The body's stress response and the soul's sense of closeness to God are not the same thing, and they do influence each other. That question, what do you do with yourself while you wait, is exactly what the apostles faced. And their answer is worth paying attention to. They were told to wait. They were not told to sit still. Acts 1:14 said that they all joined together constantly in prayer, along with the women and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and with his brothers. They gathered, they prayed, they stayed connected. And this lines up beautifully with what acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, research has found. People who practice value-based action in the presence of uncertainty, meaning they keep living according to what matters to them, even when they do not have the answers, report higher well-being than people who wait for certainty before they move. The disciples did not have clarity about the future. They had clarity over their values. They valued prayer. They valued community. They valued obedience. And they acted on those values while the future was still blank. Holy waiting is not passive. It's not stalling. It is staying faithful in the ordinary when the extraordinary hasn't arrived yet. Spiritually, the waiting room is where trust gets built, not tested. You already passed the test. Now you are building a deeper foundation. Mentally, your brain is wired to crave certainty. Knowing that can help you name the restlessness for what it is, a neurological response, not a spiritual failure. Emotionally, grief and anticipation can exist in the same moment. You can miss what is behind you and still believe something else is ahead. Physically, uncertainty elevates cortisol. Your body holds the weight of not knowing. Moving your body, even a short walk, is not avoiding the weight. It's caring for yourself inside of it. So where does that leave you today? Your brain treats uncertainty like a threat. That is neuroscience. The disciples had resurrection level proof that God was real, a promise of the Holy Spirit, and still no picture of what that promise would look like. And they did not wait passively. They prayed, they stayed connected, and they kept showing up for what they valued. That is what holy waiting looks like. Doing the next faithful thing while the bigger picture is still forming. This week, write one sentence, just one. God, I do not know what is next, and I trust that you are preparing something I have not seen yet. Put it where you will see it, on your bathroom mirror, a note on your phone, on your dashboard. And then, today, do one small faithful thing. Not because you know where it leads, but because waiting is not the same as doing nothing. Pray, walk, call someone you love. Show up for what matters to you right now in the middle of not knowing. That is your next best step. Monday is a different kind of conversation. Summer spending season sneaks up fast, and there is a whole emotional layer underneath the financial one that most people do not want to talk about. We are going to get into it before it starts. And if you felt like you need an exhale, the 5-minute daily reset at yournextbeststep.com was designed for exactly these kinds of days. If you're not already following or subscribed, take a second to do that wherever you are listening or watching. It is the easiest way to make sure these episodes land in your feed. And an honest moment here, every rating and review helps another woman find this show who might be sitting in her own waiting room right now. If you have 60 seconds, it means more than you know. Thank you.